Welcome to Global Eye from the BBC World Service. Now, every week we bring you the best of the World Service's investigative journalism and unmissable reporting from BBC teams around the globe. I'm Wahiga Mwaura, a BBC presenter based here in Kenya. Well, over the last year, the streets of Kenya have been boiling over with frustration, particularly among Gen Z. These continued protests are the culmination of anger over accusations of widespread corruption and poor governance. Peaceful demonstrations here last year turned deadly after police crackdowns. We'll share with you the breakthrough BBC Eye investigation on those protests and explain what's happened since. Also in this week's program, the secrets of a people whose brains are aging more slowly. What can we learn about health and longevity from an extraordinary community living deep in the Amazon rainforest? For months, the mood here in Nairobi has been raw and defiant, particularly among Kenya's youth. Now, this country has a very young population. Approximately 3/4 of its 56 million people are under the age of 30. So it's a powerful force that has expressed real concerns about its future. The cost of living has risen. Youth unemployment is at 17%, and over 40% of under 34s are living below the poverty line.
Riot police have been told to use whatever force is necessary to put an end to politically inspired unrest.
Kenyans have a long history of protest, with many Gen Zs inspired by the 1990 protests that restored multi-party democracy here and have become a symbol of resistance.
Last summer, thousands of young people, many of whom felt betrayed by what they saw as broken promises, gathered here for protests that soon turned deadly.
Well, to shed light on what really happened, the investigative team at BBC Africa Eye did a forensic deep dive into more than 5,000 images of that day. This is what they uncovered.
In June last year, blood was spilt on the grounds of Kenya's parliament. The month before, the government, led by its president, William Ruto, proposed its annual budget, the 2024 finance bill.
If we are a serious state, we must be able to enhance our taxes.
By raising taxes, it promised to address the country's growing debt problem. But many young Kenyans, nicknamed Gen Zs, didn't see it that way. On June 25th, everything changed. More than 100,000 Kenyans hit the streets of Nairobi. Their aim? Occupy the parliament. At first, security forces held them back with tear gas and truncheons. But as the day went on, tactics changed. At least 3 young men were killed at Kenya's parliament.
Among them was a 27-year-old student, Eric Shieni.
That evening, President Ruto gave his account of what had happened.
Today, an otherwise legitimate expression of the fundamental rights and freedoms of assembly was infiltrated and hijacked by a group of organized criminals.
Though he regretted the deaths, he thanked the security forces and placed the blame squarely with those he called organized criminals. Since then, no official investigation has been published, and no one held to account for the killings on June 25th. But BBC Africa Eye has been digging. We've mapped more than 5,000 photos and videos to reconstruct those killings.
You could see he's clearly aiming, meaning he was aiming to kill as a message to them.
Now, we can show you exactly what happened. we can pick out the killers in the crowd, we can reveal who they were working for, and we can offer an answer to one simple question. Was there any reason to spill blood on the grounds of Kenya's parliament?
Honorable members, we have quorum to transact business.
June 25th, 2024.
Yes, order.
9:30 a.m. at Kenya's parliament.
We are dealing with a very important issue of the finance bill.
Inside, MPs are filing in for the last reading of the government's finance bill. Outside,
my name is Ademba Alans. I'm a journalist by profession, currently in school. On June 25th, for me it was just a normal day. I knew people would just be there, shout, Ruto must go. These things are being live streamed on national TVs. That's when I realized that it was going to be serious.
Honorable members, do we put the question?
by the time voting begins,
Will as many as of that opinion say aye?
numbers have hit over 10,000 in central Nairobi.
Now the numbers start getting bigger and people actually start getting arrested.
For 3 hours, more than 100,000 protesters pour in from the east, the north, and the west. They unite and push towards their target, Parliament.
Order, honorable members, order.
Despite the chaos on the streets,
Go ahead and vote.
MPs are still in the chamber.
I vote yes.
Tear gas and rubber bullets hound the protesters. But they keep coming.
People had one sole goal: to enter the parliament.
By 2 p.m., police are mounting a last defense at the northeastern corner of Parliament. Inside the chamber,
Nays, 106. The ayes have it.
the finance bills voted in. Word instantly reaches the protesters.
After some of us getting arrested and being beaten up, they still pass it to be an actual bill. Now, this is when everybody is saying that whatever happens, we are going to enter the parliament and show the MPs that we believed in what we were fighting for.
At 20 minutes past 2, they break through.
It is happening, guys! It is happening!
They've reached Parliament.
Watu wamemanage kuingia parliament. People are inside the parliament.
Over the next hour, demonstrators break through the fence but don't make it inside. After 2 of them are killed, they try for Parliament again. But this time, they do it differently.
People came in numbers. Like a whole stadium is there. Most of them are just, they fear for their lives, but they want to get to the parliament.
One man at the front of the pack stands out. We saw him earlier, but we still can't see who he is. But in this one, we can. No jacket, but the gloves are the same. And the shorts match too. His name is Eric Shieni. On a normal day, he'd be studying at university. But today, he's on the front line.
They were not running. They move, walking, then they squat down. The guards were overwhelmed. There's nothing that they could do.
Despite the warning shots, Eric stays with them as they make their final push.
People now entered the parliament. People were inside the parliament.
Once inside, momentum turns to mayhem. The damage is in the millions. Even the chamber is breached.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm here to address you. You must go. Pluto must go.
The destruction is severe but short-lived. After 5 minutes, they're leaving.
Maybe it's an adrenaline rush or something, but your brain telling you that somebody is going to die.
There's Eric. Something spooks the crowd. He's caught in the stampede. And we lose him. Ademba's right. Somebody's going to die. What just happened? Behind the smoke, 3 bodies remain. 2 of them are wounded. Ademba's there again, leading the evacuation.
This person is heavily bleeding. There is no ambulance, so we carry him.
They're shooting us. Why are you shooting us? Why are you killing us?
I feared for my life that my parents could never see me again. But I also feared to let other people die when I could help.
But the 3rd casualty is beyond Ademba's help. A bullet's torn through the cap and its owner, Eric. Eric Kayoni Shieni.
Good day. Good day. Perfect day.
He was a 27-year-old student of the University of Nairobi. He studied finance.
I hope that his death is not in vain. And as long as we live, we shall fight for justice for him and the others who died in streets.
Baby, bani sina, leo sina kitu, kesho nitafanikiwa. Only you, baby, my only one.
Everything we've seen up till now leads us to one question. Who killed Eric Shieni? If we followed the trail of evidence to the fatal shot, we can find the man who fired it. It starts with the protesters leaving Parliament.
My name is Faith Odhiambo, and I'm the president of the Law Society of Kenya. The video is very clear. It shows that the protesters were walking out of Parliament, and when the shooting starts, they were all running out.
As a reminder, Eric's here, in his yellow gloves. We lose him for a moment, but pick him back up as he reaches the exit. A last flash of his yellow gloves, and then Eric goes down. Now we've got the gunshot, we can get the shooter. At first, the bedlam obscures any clues. Then this man steps into frame.
You could see he's clearly aiming, so meaning he was aiming to kill as a message to them.
Have a look from another angle. He's just 25 meters from Eric. And there's no question where his rifle's pointing.
The aim was to kill those protesters. Eric was just the unfortunate one.
With this video alone, our trail to the shooter looks like it's ending.
But he's got a giveaway.
His uniform. A white shoulder patch, a matte green helmet, tan boots, and a solid stock rifle. Perhaps that's enough. Three minutes after the shooting, a photographer caught these. At first, the uniforms all seem the same, but there's actually subtle differences. Wrong headgear, no shoulder patch, different rifle stock. But what about him? Same helmet, same boots, and a solid stock rifle. And the shoulder patch? Were he the shooter, it'd be on his other shoulder, which he shows in this video shot seconds later. There. We scoured through more than 150 images of the scene, taken within 10 minutes of the shooting. In all of them, only one man matches all the criteria on this list. Him.
Eric deserved a fair hearing. We don't know if he damaged Parliament or not. He wasn't aggressive. He was leaving the premises. They could have had him arrested, but the fact that you shoot his head, it was clearly an intention to kill. You have become the judge, the jury, and the sentence executioner for Eric.
Now, the BBC investigation was front-page news when it was released here. And Amnesty International and the Kenya Human Rights Commission said the officers identified in the documentary should face the law. It was actually debated in Kenya's parliament the day after its release.
If, as Kenya, we were able to acknowledge that things went wrong and we need to fix it, then, Mr. Speaker, even if BBC aired it, it doesn't matter. We have to fix our own problems on our own.
In response to the protesters' demands, President Ruto has acknowledged the youth unemployment crises and other challenges in the country, but said these issues existed long before he came to power and that under his watch, the economy has stabilized.
Meanwhile, the demonstrations did continue, with more deaths this year and simmering anger among Gen Z protesters, meaning the ongoing cycle seems unlikely to be resolved anytime soon. The 2027 elections for Parliament and for the presidency could offer an opportunity for change and resolution. But for now, this seems a long way off.
Here in Nairobi, it doesn't feel like this movement is burning out.
Here's some of the other brilliant BBC World Service content you can catch this week. Global News Podcast is the place to get your daily fix of news and analysis. Check it out if you want to find out more about President Trump's speech at the UN General Assembly or the recent mysterious drone activities at Danish airports. And Denmark's growing security concerns are the subject of weekly radio documentary Assignment. With the country dramatically increasing its national service, 18-year-old girls are now facing the call-up. We've had rare access to a group of those new recruits as they undergo training. Listen on BBC Sounds or wherever you get your BBC podcasts.
Every week on Global Eye, we want to take you to places you don't always see in the news. And this week, we want to share the story of a community in a remote part of Bolivia, which has been described in a scientific study as one of the healthiest groups ever to have lived. Our BBC Mundo team went to meet them to find out whether a lifestyle that might seem challenging to many of us could actually hold the key to a longer life.
This is the Maniqui River in the Bolivian Amazon. The area is home to the Tsimane, a relatively isolated nomadic people in the north of the country with a particular characteristic. Many of the older members of this community maintain exceptional physical and mental vigor until very old age, something that has attracted the attention of scientists. This is Martina Canchinate. She is 84 years old. That vitality that we were warned about left us breathless in a short time.
Que pause un momentico.
Two studies published between 2017 and 2023 found that the arteries of these older people are much younger than those of people of the same age in other countries, and that their brains also age more slowly. In the town of San Borja, the closest to the Tsimane territory, American anthropologist Hilar Kaplan has been studying the health of this ethnic group for 2 decades.
One of the things we could say is a 75-year-old Tsimane's arteries were more like a 50-year-old American's arteries.
Kaplan and his colleagues found that 85% of these older people had zero risk of heart disease, and that half of those over 80 did not even have signs of calcification in their arteries, one of the main indicators of arterial disease. They also did not have problems with obesity, hypertension, or hyperglycemia. But what is the secret of their good health? A key factor is their diet. Husband and wife, Hilda and Pablo, invited us to harvest rice in their field. This is what the Tsimane have done ancestrally, basing their diet on fishing, hunting, and gathering.
Y la escopeta, me llamo Juan Gutiérrez Rivero. Ahora sí, vámonos al monte, buscar el bicho. Tengo 78 años.
We accompanied Juan Gutiérrez on a day of hunting.
Lo más difícil, digamos, mi cuerpo, que ya no puede caminar lejos, ¿no? Por máximo 2 días será, camino ya. Ya no camino lejos ya.
The physical routine of the older Tsimane is another determining factor of their health. Grandparents like Juan walk, on average, 17,000 steps per day. In Europe, the average is approximately 6,000 steps. Diet and physical activity mean that the older Tsimane have 70% less muscle atrophy than people of the same age in the United Kingdom, Japan, or the United States. And just like their arteries, scientists found that their brain also ages more slowly.
Estas pruebas son pruebas cognitivas que se hacen a los abuelos para ver si tienen demencia o no.
The fact that surprised the researchers is that the loss of the brain function is 40% slower in the Tsimane. Dementia, particularly Alzheimer's, is less frequent. Despite their great physical condition, the older Chimane constantly suffer from inflammation or parasitic diseases detected in 100% of the volunteers. When they need medical assistance, they have to travel to the city. Dr. Daniel Rodriguez is a member of the team that studies the aging of the Chimane. Scientists highlight the very tough conditions the Chimane people must endure.
Aunque no haya mejorado realmente la llegada de los servicios médicos a la gente, tienen más chance de rescatar a un niño de que se muera por diarrea, ¿no? El mismo hecho de participar en nuestro estudio nos genera a nosotros el compromiso de tratar de ayudarles en resolver esos problemas.
For years, life expectancy was hampered by high maternal and child mortality. When the studies began, life expectancy was around 45 years. But this exposure to infectious and parasitic diseases could be a third key factor in the longevity of the Chimane.
Hasta cierto punto las infecciones pueden ser beneficiosas, ¿no? Se llega a un nivel de convivencia que probablemente son como los seleccionados, los que sobreviven y los que están ahí, ¿no? Y pues eso también puede ser un factor protector para muchas cosas, ¿no?
For this reason, experts are studying how their immune system, which is more balanced against bacteria and parasites, protects them from arterial diseases. The Chimane feel proud to know that their ancestral lifestyle is now a health reference beyond the forest.
Ye, matuka yo mo jaya ye. Sa Kenya ja ba sa nyira ya cham Kenya ba. Sa nyira. Berjo into kayen.
Well, thanks for joining me in Nairobi. Now, next week, Global Eye will be reporting from Cuba. Goodbye.